Welcome to our e-learning class. Today we are going to talk about pragmatics. Just before we go further, we need to talk about three branches of linguistics that are closely related one to another. The three branches are syntax, semantics, and pragmatics. Syntax is a study of how signs and words are constructed according to syntactic rule. For example, he never comes late. This utterance or sentence is well constructed since it abides by syntactic rule. He, as a subject, that is third person singular, is followed by verb as a predicate with s ending. So there is agreement between he and comes. Whenever you say he is never come late, this is not syntactically acceptable because he should never be followed by is when it is followed by verb. If you say, or you want to ask a question about it, does he never come late? It's correct. It's syntactically true. But when you say, is he never come late? It is not syntactically true. Syntax terminates at that point. Then we continue to talk about semantics. Semantics is a study of meaning, whether an utterance is meaningful or not. This is the area of interest of semantics. For instance, does he never comes late have meaning? Is it meaningful? This is the area of analysis of semantics. Remember, even if a sentence is syntactically acceptable, it may not be semantically acceptable. My dog majors in linguistics at a university is syntactically true. And it is syntactically acceptable, but semantically it is not acceptable. Why? Because my dog, of course, cannot go to university, cannot major in any science. And another one is pragmatics. Pragmatics, even though the construction of sentences that is spoken in pragmatics fields are based on syntax and semantics, but its areas is beyond the areas of the two branches of linguistics. An utterance that is syntactically acceptable and semantically acceptable is not automatically acceptable pragmatically. Say, for example, if you say in a presence of a person who cannot see, yes, he's a blind man. Yes, he's a blind man is an utterance that is syntactically and semantically true, but it is not pragmatically true. Why? Because it violates rule of social norm. This is pragmatics. So, actually, the three branches of linguistics are closely related one to another, but each of them has its own area of interest. Now, let's go further by talking in more detailed way what pragmatics is. You now understand that pragmatics has something to do with social context, or we can also say circumstances. Now let us see some aspects of meaning in terms of pragmatics. The first one, take a look at speaker's meaning. Speaker's meaning is a meaning intended by speaker, yes, which is supposed or which is expected to be understood by listener. And when I say as a speaker, will you give me some water, please? Yes. The referential or literal or denotative meaning of this, please give me some water. But there is another information conveyed by this utterance, namely, I'm thirsty. I'm thirsty. The speaker means that, and the listener is expected to understand this. And another aspects of pragmatics is, the fact that the meaning is understood more than what is stated. Okay? It's the meaning which is more than what is stated. If I say, for example, will you close the window or will you close the door? The referential meaning of this utterance is please close the window or please close the door. But there is something more than what is stated here. The meaning is, it is noisy out there, or it's very cool here. So it's not stated. This is more than what stated. And another one, contextual meaning. Contextual meaning is the meaning which is based or which is determined by the context of circumstances where the utterance is put forward. In the context of flight schedule, I'm now at the airport and my flight schedule is 9 o'clock. Then I will ask somebody, what time is it? The meaning of what time is it in this context is the actual time. I want to know whether it is 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, or 8 o'clock or something, because I do not want to get late. And then in my academic setting, my academic class, the same question is put forward to one of my students. Yes, say my class begins at 9, but one of my students comes at 9:30. Then I say, what time is it? While looking at my watch. Yes? The meaning of my question here is not the same as that of in the flight schedule. The meaning is, since he comes at 9:30 and while my class begins at 9, then what time is it means to say you come late. Yeah. All right? So the meaning is completely determined by the context instead of the literal meaning or instead of referential meaning of the utterance. And another one, physical distance or closeness of the speaker or listener can also determine meaning. If I say, would you please take this to my office? The one who can understand my questions, my utterance, is the one who is close to the object, this. Alright? Somebody who is far away cannot understand the meaning of this. This is what we call physical distance. And another one, there is a personal distance or social distance or social closeness. Of course, you have to know who you talk to, who you encounter with. The way you talk to somebody who is close to you is not the same as the way you talk to the one who is strange to you, who is new to you, who is older than you are. Yeah? To your friends, you say, oh, come in. Right? Well, you don't talk or we don't use this utterance to a stranger or to a person that you respect or who is older than you are. If you say, oh, please come in, you are welcome, while you show hospitality and show that you are glad. This is it. All right? So with this in mind, we can now understand that when you talk to somebody in social interaction, you are not really free. You are free to talk anything you want to say is in theory, but in practice it is not so. There are some social norms that you need to understand. To understand better about social norm, now let us consider the fact that you never tell jokes in funeral. Even though it is not stated in any law, nobody or no law that does not permit you to tell joke in funeral. But this is social norm. Yes, you actually consciously or unconsciously be aware of this social norm. This is why you are not really free. You are not really free to say this. And understanding social norms, or that we call social norms that determines, yes, choice of words, or in the context of convention, can be seen in the use of please and thanks in English society. In English society, please and thanks are frequently used. But in other societies, even in European countries, thanks and please are not used as frequently as in English society. In addition to this, the meaning of thanks can be different depending on where you are or in what social communities you are. In English-speaking persons' community, thanks means yes. For example, somebody asks them, would you like some more food, please? Then the Englishman says, thanks. Thanks means here, yes. I want more food. But in other European communities, like French, for example, when he responds by saying thanks, yes, that means no, right? And you see, I can give you another example concerning social conventions in different communities. When you think that the dinner is excellent, you will say, oh, the dinner is very nice to your host, and it's very positive. in Indonesian society, this expression is also positive by saying, enak kali makanannya. The food is very nice. This is in Indonesian community and in English community. But in some other communities, when you say the dinner is nice, your host may think there is something wrong with the food offered to you. And he might say, I'm sorry, while taking some items of food, and replace them with some foods by saying sorry. And in another community, when you think that the dinner is excellent, you had better stay silent. This is it. Another one, in different society, concerning the use of personal pronoun for the second person, will be different from communities to communities. In English communities, you had better say you for anybody you talk to or for anybody you encounter, no matter he's a president, he's your professor, he's your husband, he's your neighbor, she's your wife, and so on. You just say you. When did you come? Right? This is you for everybody. Okay, the use of you for everybody. Now in Indonesian communities, right, you just say, you, okay, to refer to you, kau, Anda, Bapak, kamu, saudara. So, you are not free to use kau or either one of them to anybody you talk to. It depends on who you talk to. If you talk to your close friend, for example, okay, you say, kau, datang kau besok ya. Please come tomorrow. You. Yes, kau. Yes, kau datang besok. Will you come tomorrow? You, kau. But of course, you use another personal pronoun, whenever talking to your professor, your parent, or the one who is older than you are, by saying, Bapak, Ibu. Bapak datang besok, Ibu datang besok. Right? And then, if you think that you are in a formal situation, and you talk to your friends who is in the same level in terms of social or in terms of work structure, you just say saudara. Ya, saudara boleh mengatakan begitu. You can say these things. So it depends on who you talk to. Okay? Now, this is a basic understanding of what pragmatics is. Now let's go ahead, to talk about the scope of pragmatics. The scope of pragmatics actually is not very clear. There is no clear boundary between pragmatics, semantics, sociolinguistics, and discourse analysis. There is why there is no clear definition, there is no clear boundary of pragmatics and the other branches of linguistics. If you say that pragmatics deals with the relationship between the speaker and the listener, it is also the area of analysis of semantics and of sociolinguistics. Right? All right, okay. And then you say that pragmatics takes up the matter beyond the literal meaning, say, for example, social meaning, affective meaning, word meaning, and utterance meaning. This is also the area of analysis of semantics. If you say that pragmatics deals with the conversational rules, all right, or the rule of telling personal story, yes, it's the area of pragmatics, but it is also the area of discourse analysis. So there is overlapping definition, or there are overlapping issues being talked about those branches of linguistics. However, it's important that we understand these overlapping issues are dealt with by pragmatics more rigorously and more comprehensively in comparison to how those other branches of linguistics approach these overlapping issues. I know that there is a book written by Stephen Levenson, Pragmatics, right? His analysis of those overlapping issues is very comprehensive, as you can see in his book, this one. Over here, yes, he talks about, deixis, conversational implicature, presupposition, speech acts, conversational structure, and many more. In other books of pragmatics, pragmatics gives a special or great attention to the use of language in advertisement. The advertisement, as you say, is meant or is intended by the advertiser to effect the consumer's mind concerning the products being advertised by using certain typical utterances. For example, the use of alliteration, namely the repetition of the first initial sounds that is commonly consonant, like Coca-Cola, Mickey Mouse, Dunkin' Donuts. This is to attract, the listener or the reader of the advertisements. Yes, of course, it is much more stronger than when it is used in other terms. Coca-Cola, right, is very strong, has something that can affect the listener or the reader to memorize this, more easily and more effectively. This is it, pragmatics. Now imagine if an advertisement just show pictures on television, for example, without being reinforced or strengthened by the use of utterances. Of course, it's not very strong. That picture will be very strong whenever it collaborates with typical utterances. So, this is it. And another one, pragmatics also deals with politeness. How you could be nice to somebody you talk to somebody you encounter in daily interaction, in social interaction. So of course, you have to use proper utterances in order to achieve the goal of communication in terms of politeness. Okay? Right. The choices of utterances, once again, in accordance with context, who you talk to, where, when, and in what communities you are involved. This is called politeness, and it is the area of interest of pragmatics. That is why it's very important for you to understand, first of all, the backgrounds of culture, the backgrounds of communities, just before you encounter with them. That is why there is now a well-known field of science that we call cross-cultural understanding. It's very closely related to pragmatics. And another one, pragmatics deals with choice of words or choice of utterances in formal situation. How you could talk in formal situations and so on. All right? So again, this area or these areas of interest are not seriously talked about in sociolinguistics, discourse analysis, and semantics. Hopefully, when new findings or new issues are discovered in pragmatics field, there will be a kind of clue leading us to the understanding of how pragmatics is distinguished from other branches of linguistics. And we'll discuss in a more detailed way concerning this in the next meeting or in the next e-learning class. Just before I put an end to my speech, I want to sum up what I say. Pragmatics is a study or a branch of linguistics that deals with some factors beyond syntax and semantics, specifically in relation with the choice of words, the choice of phrases, the choice of sentences in accordance with context, in order for you to achieve the goal of politeness, formality, and the quality of your speech when you meet people from different communities, in different contexts, in different circumstances, and so on. I thank you so much for your attention, and there will be more issues we need to talk about in the next e-learning class. Once again, thank you, and I thank you, and I'm very glad because all of you are now strong enough physically and mentally in time of crisis due to the outbreak of coronavirus, which is up to the present cannot be controlled. Thank you once again. Thank you. See you. Be strong. Goodbye.